A judge set bail at $250,000 cash for an Orrington man accused of killing his infant daughter. 24-year-old Sean Samuels made his first appearance this afternoon via Zoom. Samuels is charged with murder in the death of 12-week-old Lila Samuels. He's also facing charges of domestic violence, elevated aggravated assault, and 2 counts of violation of bail. State police say authorities were called to a house in Orrington Friday for an unresponsive infant. Lila Samuels was taken to a Bangor hospital where she died Sunday. An autopsy determined the baby's death was a homicide. During today's hearing, the judge also ordered Samuels not to have contact with anyone under the age of 18, and he's barred from having dangerous weapons as part of his bail conditions.